Welcome back. Tonight, I will be reading a few shorter stories, the first of which is coming from the second book, More Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Let's get started. Now, this one was the first I had ever heard from the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series. It was told to me by my grandfather, rest his soul. And this one is dedicated to him. This one's called Something Was Wrong. One morning, John Sullivan found himself walking along a street downtown. He could not explain what he was doing there, or how he got there, or where he had been earlier. He didn't even know what time it was. He saw a woman walking toward him and stopped her. "I'm afraid I forgot my watch," he said, and smiled. "Can you tell me the time?" When she saw him, she screamed and ran. Then John Sullivan noticed that other people were afraid of him. When they saw him coming, they flattened themselves against a building or ran across the street to stay out of his way. "There must be something wrong with me," John Sullivan thought. "I'd better go home." He hailed a taxi, but the driver took one look at him and sped away. John Sullivan did not understand what was going on, and it scared him. "Maybe somebody at home can come and get me," he thought. He found a telephone and called his wife, but a voice he did not recognize answered. "Is Miss Sullivan there?" he asked.
"No, she's at a funeral," the voice said. "Mr. Sullivan was killed yesterday in an accident downtown."
Chills, I know. It's one of my favorites. And now this next one comes from the first book, of course. This was one I told many times back in 3rd grade. I had a little group where we would tell each other scary stories from these exact books. This one's called Coldest Clay. A farmer had a daughter whom he cared about more than anything on earth. She fell in love with a farmhand named Jim, but the farmer did not think Jim was good enough for his daughter. To keep them apart, he sent her to live with her uncle on the other side of the country. Soon after she left, Jim got sick, and he wasted away and died. Everyone said he died of a broken heart. The farmer felt so guilty about Jim's death, he could not tell his daughter what happened. She continued to think about Jim and the life they might have had together. One night, many weeks later, there was a knock on her uncle's door. When the girl opened the door, Jim was standing there. "Your father asked me to get you," he said. "I came on his best horse."
"Is anything wrong?"
she asked. "I don't know," he said. She packed a few things, and they left. She rode behind him, clinging to his waist. Soon, he complained of a headache. "It aches something terrible," he told her. She put her hand on his forehead. "Why, you're as cold as clay," she said. "I hope you are not ill." And she wrapped her handkerchief around his head. They traveled so swiftly that in a few hours they reached the farm. The girl quickly dismounted and knocked on the door. Her father was startled to see her. "Didn't you send for me?" she asked. "No, I didn't," he said. She turned to Jim, but he was gone, and so was the horse. They went to the stable to look for them. The horse was there. It was covered with sweat and trembling with fear. But there was no sign of Jim. Terrified, her father told her the truth about Jim's death. Then, quickly, he went to see Jim's parents. They decided to open his grave. The corpse was in its coffin, but around its head, they found the girl's handkerchief. So, what do you think truly happened in the story As Cold as Clay? Well, we may never know. Join me next Wednesday where I will read 2 more stories. See you then.